cool. That was a 5-1 game, guys. All right, guys. Well, this is the second episode of I have no clue what we're called yet because Raza is this is Raza's like little brainchild. Like he came up with this brilliant idea of getting the reaction by the people for the people, opinion for the people by the people. I have no clue what I'm saying right now because I've been drinking since 11 a.m. However, right, what he wanted and what his point was to what his point to do for this, I'm not speaking English anymore, was that he wanted people, not Elliot Friedman, not everybody else, but to express your uninterrupted, unfiltered opinions for a good 3 to 5 minutes. Now, the first episode, mind you, we weren't able to do what we could and do what we intended to do. So what we're going to do today is actually what we actually wanted to do. So we're going to go in like, we're going to go in
a circle.
We're going to go in order. We're going to get Maz the opportunity to talk. We're going to give Arthi the opportunity to talk. We're going to give Jihad now. He's been able to log in and he didn't get the Dermot conversation, but he's going to get the opportunity to talk. We're going to give everybody a good uninterrupted 3 to 5 minutes. I've had a good uninterrupted 12 to 15 hours of drinking, so I'm not going to give my opinion. However, we're going to give the start to Mossy after I say one thing. Fuck Habs fans. All right, cool. So Mossy, you got 3 to 5 minutes. I'm going to start the timer now. Please tell me whatever's on your mind. You got 3 to 5 minutes. Rant away. Go ahead.
Oh my God, what a fucking game. I'm a homer. I am biased, but there's not a single player I can look at today and say, not a single player I can look at today and say, I didn't like the way they played. Engvall got into the lineup and he looked like one of the Leafs' best players. That was incredible. What a great showing for him. And he's made a case to stay in the lineup for game 3. Austin Matthews was Carey Price's daddy. That's why Carey Price calls him Poppy. Mitch Marner, he still doesn't look like Mitch Marner, but 2 assists on the day, didn't do anything that cost the Leafs. William Nylander, another fuck you to Baghead Twitter. Who gives a fuck? Jack Campbell, solid. 957 save percentage. Nothing looked like it was going to phase us the entire
So
day.
can I pause you for 1 second? Like, was there any point where you looked at Jack? And again, I'm going to say this because I was 100% drinking through the whole situation. I was barbecuing. I was trying to actually enjoy my life and not get hung up on the Leafs, which I can actually do. I try to do it. I don't avoid it. My son was born like literally the day of the first playoff game of last year. So I can't really avoid it. But was there any point where Jack actually gave you AFib or flutterations, or did he actually for once give you the confidence that Anderson hasn't?
The whole game, basically. Like, it's just when you see a puck go towards him, I'm not worried that a shot from the boards is going to somehow squeak through and just deflate the team. There was one moment, it's just the inner Leafs fan in me where, where you're sprawling and Kotkaniemi got it. I just got shades of Reimer sprawling from 2013, and it just all started to sink in a little bit. But then they quickly said Jason Spezza, our savior, the guy we love so much, us Leaf fans, we've always loved Jason Spezza.
You mean Jason Jesus?
No, Jason Spezza, we've loved him since like 2005. He's the GOAT. What can I say about this game that we aren't all going to agree on? Rasmus Sandin, Jesus Christ.
You got 2 more minutes.
Jesus Christ. Rasmus Sandin, he looks phenomenal. I'm glad I was wrong. He didn't get taken out because from transitions, from the way he entered the zone, he got a goal. We actually have a Shea Weber ourselves. That point shot, mwah. Everything he did was beautiful. Who else do we talk about here?
All right, hold on. You got 2 minutes. I do want to get your opinion. What did you think of Kotkaniemi coming back?
He should have been in game 1.
Okay.
Regardless of his struggles during the season or what they perceive as struggles, he is one of their best players. He's one of their future players, and you should be playing him, getting him this experience. And look, first game in, he scores a goal for them. Why is Cole Caulfield sitting while you have players that shouldn't be dressing for the Habs while Caulfield's still sitting up there? 5 points in 10 games in the season. He is your number one prospect by a mile. He's a game changer. We might not like him, but he is a game changer, and he can score goals, which is what the Habs desperately need. They don't have goal scorers. They don't have prominent goal scorers. Josh Anderson has 1 goal in his last 13 games, playoffs and regular seasons included. You need goals. You don't sit Cole Caulfield. But guess what? I'm a Leafs fan. I don't care. Sit whoever the fuck you want. If it's a win for us, I'm happy.
All right, you got 60 seconds.
Oh,
You have 3 games to win out of the next 5.
you play this exact roster.
Okay.
You don't change a single thing about this roster. Everyone played their role perfectly. No one, like, I'm so happy about it. I'm biased as hell, but I don't think anyone did anything wrong here. It was just flawless, start to finish, except the 1 goal against whatever. We'll let that slide.
All right, so I'm gonna wrap you up. That was the end for Maz. So I know Jihad has a lot of analytical opinions here. So before Jihad comes in, you know what? Guess what? My sister's on the other side, so I'm gonna give her the first opinion first. And all right, Arthur, you got 3 to 5 minutes. You tell me how many minutes you need to express your opinion, because I'm gonna tell you now, he's coming in strong. 100%. He's coming in with 53.7% Corsi. He's coming with 60% offensive zone possession. He's coming in with a lot of fucking stats. So you better come in strong. Let's go, Arthi. Let's go.
I've also been drinking today, so as a family, we're not looking too great.
Drinking? All right, cool. Go ahead.
I mean, I have this hanging up for a reason in my room, signed by the
signed.
one and only us.
Hold on. I got you that signed photography.
Yeah, it's true, it's signed. It felt really nice to watch a game where I was comfortable the whole time, except for maybe the first 2 minutes of the game-ish. It felt really good to see everyone actually doing what they're supposed to do. It was also really nice seeing Spezza score, just because he's on the Toronto Maple Leafs, and that's different.
This is fucking different.
Yeah. Very different.
So hold on. Now that you brought Spezza up, like, I don't know if you were reading what was happening during the off, like the
Tavares injury.
But during the Tavares injury, like, one of the things that happened was, like, Tavares talked about how Spezza talked about how the reason he kept talking was Tavares apparently seemed to be responding to what he was saying, and then what turned out after the fact was that Tavares said while he was going in and out of consciousness, the one voice he could catch on to was Spezza's. Now, I will say this from my past, very long ago medical point of view, is that, like, when you go in and out, sometimes, like, you just need 1 or 2 things to kind of center yourself. And, like, that was actually a very important thing for Spezza to acknowledge, understand, and really, like, hold on to. What is your opinion on the makeup of this team and what seems kind of different about the way this team interacts with everything else? 100%, at the end of the day, every team's going to make sure their people are okay, their teammates are okay, but this one seems different. So you started with Spezza, maybe comment on what you think about Spezza's, and then
honest, the way you framed it to say that, when, like, from your medical opinion, when you're, like, going in and out of consciousness, you need something to center you. It felt like that goal centered the team a little bit, because I didn't feel that the game started off super great. It felt a little loose. It felt like things sort of centered a little bit more after that. And then the second period was chef's kiss, flawless. It was perfection. In terms of, I mean, we've had vets come in for the last few years to guide the young boys. Like, we've had a few dad figures, let's call them, but I feel like the boys are actually ready to have that. Like they've all been sort of kids up until now, and I'd like to believe that they've all matured a little bit. Matthews actually knows how to throw his body around now. He finally realized that he's a big
Him
boy.
laying out was my highlight.
I hate that boy so
Mm.
much. So it just feels like, aside from Marner, who did okay today, but like Marner not scoring an empty netter was the most Marner thing that could have ever Marnered in a playoff series.
To be honest, I consider the empty netter to be like an exclusively Hyman thing. So like I'm gonna forever leave that to Hyman. So like I don't like blame it against Marner or not.
I don't blame him on it, but I mean, I also saw the shot that took him 45 seconds to get off his stick instead of just backhanding it. But you know, it is what it is.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. So okay,
I'm not gonna shit on him because I mean I'm not one of those people, but I am gonna say, after hearing the commentators talking shit about Nylander during the intermission, it just it felt wrong to not bring up Marner.
I'm gonna give you I'm gonna give you a few more minutes before like I can see Gia like fucking chomping at the bit. So I'm gonna give you
no, you can go ahead.
I got a few questions for you, Artie, first.
Yeah, go ahead.
I got a few questions for you first because you mentioned Nylander and Martin. First of all, Nylander, like what impact do you think he actually had today? Do you think he had more than Baghead Twitter gives him credit for, or do you think he just had? You know what? I'm gonna let you talk. Go ahead.
That's a dumb question.
I know, but
he had more of an impact than Baghead had to say. Baghead is a dumbass, and yes, he had more of an impact. Next question.
All right. So, what do you think Nylander's impact is for the rest of the series?
I think what I like about Nylander's for the last, not just in the playoffs, but in the last like maybe 2 years, regular season as well, is that he, despite all of the shit talking, he is completely comfortable in his role on the Leafs. He's not trying to be a superstar. He just is. He knows his role. He's not trying to outscore Matthews. He's not trying to do too much in a play to make the highlight reel the way Marner was doing. And I feel like that stability is really important. It promises active assists and goals that I think we need. Like it's not, there's nothing fancy about it. It's just I feel like I can rely on him to always produce.
Okay, if you had to say there's one guy for the rest of the series, like you have to close the series out, you had to pick one X factor that you think is going to be the reason outside of Matthews. Like Matthews is, in my opinion, I'm gonna take 30 seconds here. So to me, the minute Tavares went down the way he did, it was almost poetic in the sense that I think this plays out in a very it plays out the way literature plays out. We got presented with its conflict. The conflict is the captain goes down. The captain goes down. We meet an opponent that we in theory should beat, but we can't because the Habs are that team. The team that shows up in the playoffs, except they fucking suck. Let's not lie about it.
The Habs have a goalie that shows up in the playoffs.
The Habs don't even have a fucking goalie that shows up in the playoffs.
Sometimes.
We made him look like he showed up in the playoffs for one game, but whatever, right? So now we're in a position where we can either let him play out that way, or we have the second coming, Austin Matthews. I think this presented the situation for Austin Matthews to ascend, right? Like Connor McDavid has already ascended. Connor McDavid is the legend of our time. Like we can say what we want to, and like, guess what? Like he may be like throwing himself under his own bus with the way Edmonton's like shitting the bed with Winnipeg. I'm gonna let that go, and like everybody else can
Who
come.
was that yesterday, by the way?
I'm gonna let everybody else comment on that, but like let's be honest, like someone put up 100 points in 50 fucking something games. Jesus Christ, right? Like Connor McDavid is something else, right?
Yeah, but Matthew's better.
Exactly. I'm gonna let Jihad finish this off. However, Matthews has shown already, like he's the Ovechkin to the Crosby. However, we haven't decided. The reason Crosby gets his name is because Crosby has the winner status. Except between Matthews and McDavid, they haven't decided who can win. So they haven't decided that status yet. The next winner is that guy. So this is a really important run for both of them. And I truly believe Austin Matthews, especially after that Tavares injury, the way he got emotional, and I'm not saying the fact that he got emotional has anything to do with it, but the way he got emotional, the fact that Tavares went down, the fact that the city kind of rallied behind Tavares, the fact that the Habs and Habs fans got pissy about the fact that we were putting up monuments to Tavares. Like, come on. Like, why are you getting pissy?
They're just mad they never got an interview.
We're like sad about it, like shut the fuck up, right? So you guys are all mad. Okay, cool. I think this is like the literal perfect time for Austin Matthews to take that step that my favorite player that ever played for the Toronto Maple Leafs is Matt Sundin. The one step he didn't take was beyond super or all-star or superstar into legend. I think this is the opportunity that Austin Matthews has to take into legend. And if he takes this, if he runs with this is it. Like he can actually ascend to a level that he can will in Toronto. If you get to this level, like you're gone, right?
Simply put, he has the chance to make himself the greatest Leaf ever with one run.
All right, so since the guy interrupted my fucking soliloquy.
Well, you were going around and around about it.
Right,
That's what you were trying to say.
I'm bugging with you. All right, G, I was actually just trying to goad you into a fucking 5-minute rant. I've been trying to goad you into this. So let's go. You got 3 to 5 minutes. Go ahead.
Well, yeah, I mean, watching that game, I think that was the game we all expected game one to be, I think, from the very beginning. I mean, that first period started off a little rough, and I think the Leafs got a little bit too much into Montreal's game, and rather than playing their own. But once Montreal scored that first goal and that weight was lifted with the Spezza goal, I think from the second on, it was just all Leafs all the time. They were relentless on the puck, crashing the net, always getting it back. They weren't giving Montreal any room to work. They weren't putting up with any of Montreal's shit. And then the power play started ticking, which was crucial for them too. I mean, watching Matthews work is
wait, actually, you know what? Like, because I actually like when you break a few things down. Break down that power play for us. What did you think that they did different this time?
Well, like which one? The one with the Sandin goal?
Yeah.
I mean, I think just having that point shot threat too. Like my biggest issue with their power play all year has been, the puck's going to Matthew, and they don't have the ability the way Washington does to make you forget about Matthews the way Washington, like you watch Washington on the power play, teams forget about
which
Ovechkin.
Is crazy, right? How do you forget
Ovechkin? Like there's all these memes about like all the defenders in one corner and then a circle around Ovechkin being like greatest goal scorer ever right here. And they just have this tendency to make you forget about Ovi. And I think the Leafs haven't done a good job of doing that. They did an okay job when they loaded up the unit last year, I thought, but this year everyone knew the puck was going to Matthews. I think part of it was the hunt for 40 as well. Like that definitely.
You think the hunt for 40 affected the power play?
Well, I don't like in a close game, no. But once you're up 2-1, 3-1 in a game, and you're like in control of the game, and at that point, you're kind of like you. Honestly, it felt like it sometimes.
Really?
I won't say
I don't think Matthews ever chased that actively. With
No,
like, trying to feed him,
no,
feed
I-
him,
It's
feed him.
about everybody else chasing it for him.
Yeah, see, Matthews, I always felt never was chasing it, but there was a game, even last year, I think there was a couple of games where you could tell players were forcing the pass over to Matthews to try and get him a goal, and then it was like, might have been earlier this year when he was on that goal streak, and it felt like every pass on that power play was being forced to him to try to get him to extend his goal streak, and yet they never really. And he was like, "What are you guys doing? I'm not open." So
I mean, I don't think I've never felt that Matthews ever forced that.
I don't know. I don't think Matthews is the one forcing it. I think Marner sometimes tries to like create too much. You know what I mean?
think the only time I saw the forced situation was like Marner. Like I remember that. Like that. Remember that 2-on-1 where it was like clear that Marner should have taken the shot.
Yeah,
Matthews even returned it back to Marner, and then he put it right back on Matthews' stick, and he's like,
yeah,
well, all right, I'm 2 inches away.
yeah. No, so I mean, other than that, I think I think the biggest issue with their power play is not enough shooting threats. It's why I want Thornton off the power play, and like it doesn't have to be Nylander. And I know I personally would play Nylander there, just because I think he gives you so many options as a playmaker and as a shooter.
Yeah.
But even Spezza there is another shot. Like just to have a second or third shooting threat, like there's no one else who shoots it on that unit really. Like they keep forcing the puck over to Marner to shoot, and he's a decent shot.
Yeah.
But he like everyone on the other team would rather
Everybody's-
Marner shoot the puck.
Everyone's cheating towards Matthews, and it's not just cheating towards Matthews to save it. It's just like mentally, like everything's shifting that way.
Yeah.
Like you're kind of just setting up, and like even like the defense knows you're setting up to go that way.
Yeah. And that's why I think Sandin's shot, and if he does it a little bit more, is going to open up some ice for Matthews to start scoring a little bit more as well. I mean, that's what I thought about the power play. Otherwise, they were putting shots on, and I think that's the biggest one too. They were forcing pucks to the center, to the net in both these games, actually, with both units in a way that they haven't really done probably since the start of the year when the power play started off red hot.
Like 70%.
Yeah, I think
they went from scoring on every power play to
not scoring.
yeah.
Yeah, regression hit them hard. But yeah, no, I think that was the biggest thing about their power play.
So after this game, though, having watched the first game, which Leafs team do you think shows up in Game 3?
I think it'll be this team. Honestly, I think they've proven that they are better than the Canadiens. I think they absolutely dominated this game. There's no reason for them not to be this team the next game. They have the confidence of winning without JT. They're playing for him. I think I said it on Twitter earlier today, and I'm like, I'm expecting them to dominate. I'm going to be pretty upset if they don't, just because of all of the talk about how like we're winning it for JT. The more games we win, the higher chance we give him of coming back to play playoff games for us this year. All of that, and for them to just not show up, I think would be a big letdown for fans and for themselves. So I think I'd expect the same team to come in on Monday. Tuesday might be a different story on a back-to-back, but I think Monday we're going to get a similar performance to this one.
I mean, it's interesting you brought that up. Like I know someone else is trying to get in. Like if he gets in time, like we'll invite him in. So before that, like I actually do want to ask. So first of all, like I agree. I think this is the team that I thought this is the team that was going to show up game, right? Realistically,
and I think they were on their way there, and then Tavares got hurt, and that kind of messed everything up. So I would almost not even count that.
I think the first 10 minutes was always going to be chaos in that game. And then what happened was Montreal was creating chaos, and then the injury to Tavares threw everything off, sucked all the energy out. And let's be honest, we're all human. Like I was not okay for a day and a half, and I was just watching it. Like all I did was watch a hockey game, and like I felt the same way I felt about Brian Ferraro. Like it messed me up, right? Like, and again, like it wasn't the most brutal injury like we've seen, but like again, it still screws you up. And then if you're a teammate, think about a teammate that you've gotten close to. And then like think about your Kyle Dubas, who's thinking about your captain who has a young family. Like that. This is why I respect Kyle Dubas. Not only is he an intelligent young man, not only is he an intelligent person that does things the right way, he's also an intelligent young man that thinks, hey, I'm going to go down to the ice level because I wouldn't want this to be my family that does not know what's going on with me. That is a person that I always want on my side. Someone's actually coming into this that I definitely want to get an opinion from. So my opinion was like that first game, emotions checked high. It threw a lot of people off, and like I know we shied away from giving people the pass, but at the end of the day, that's truly what it was. Because to me, I was like, this team can wipe Montreal. Like Montreal, realistically, at the end of the day, at peak, Montreal doesn't have a chance, in my opinion.
I mean, I think Montreal, if they take out Stahl, get Evans back, and bring in Caulfield, they probably look a little bit better. They have more of a. I don't.
If Montreal does all that, and then also we lose Tavares, Matthews, and Marner, then yeah, Montreal has a chance.
No. I guess what I'm saying is they are a decent team. They do have their depth. They do play a style of hockey that's more receptive to the playoffs to a certain extent, and they have a goalie who's shown a tendency to step up in the playoffs in the past. I'm not saying they're a better team. I think Toronto should easily steamroll them, regardless of who they're playing.
Julie,
but I think
your mic's off. But go on.
But I do think they can create problems for the Leafs and make it, even if Toronto wins the next 3 games, they're going to be battles for the next 3 games. You know, it's not going to be. I don't think you'll steamroll them as easily as you probably did for the last 2 periods of tonight.
I think like I agree that like I don't think we steamroll them as easily as we did, but I don't think we have as much trouble as we did first game. And again, like it may not, like maybe like comes up very arrogant, but I don't think Montreal's that good.
No, I mean they're decent. Again, they're just a team that's tough to play. It doesn't mean they're good or that they're like. I don't think they'll score more than 1 or 2 goals a game against this Leafs team. They're tough to play against, and they can make it very hard on you to win. Like to win your games where you have to. Like if you don't bring your 100%, they're gonna steal a couple more games from you. That's kind of where my mindset is with.
All right, so we got Julian on. I'm gonna give him like a good time period where he can say whatever he wants. Please don't say anything inappropriate. We can always edit it out, but I'm too drunk to edit, so please don't say anything inappropriate. So you got everything's yours.
Stage is yours.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm gonna jump off what was just being said then, and I will agree that Montreal's they're not a good team, but the one thing that worries me is Montreal in transition, and they proved it again tonight, even though they didn't score any goals off the transition. I really worry sometimes of Toronto's D pinching, and I know it did work out tonight, and there was really a lot of good opportunities from that, but there's just this big worry I have, particularly from Anderson. That like I hate him so much, but he can skate. He really can skate, and he can shoot the puck. And
maybe you should sit your best rush defender.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? Like the one time that it really looked bad tonight was when Brody pinched, and then Anderson took it, and I was like, I understand where Brody's coming from because the guy is way more offensive than he proved this year, and I don't think that's a jab at him that he wasn't more offensive this year. It's just the role that he had to play. But I understand where he's coming from and having to pinch and do things like that. He got caught tonight and like it's usually Riley getting caught in that position. You know what I mean? So it was really it was nice to see it. It was almost nice to see it in different tonight. But the one thing I will say is it was amazing to see them. Like it was a really great response from the other night, and I really think I was thinking about today, and like knock on wood and knock on just I don't want to jinx anyone or anything like that, but I thought about the year that the Raptors won the championship and they lost to the Magic in Game 1, and this is really I hope we follow path of that. It's we probably should have beat them in game one. We hit like 3 posts or whatever, but like I really think we can take them next 3 games and just dominate them. So
Montreal, if you take it in any other year, think about the division. It would have been Boston, Tampa, Florida, Toronto, all these killers in this division. They wouldn't have had a shot at the playoffs. They're lucky they snuck in, so the Leafs should steamroll them this whole way through.
All right, so
they should, but Pittsburgh should have steamrolled them last year too, and they beat Pittsburgh. You know what I mean? Like I hate them so much.
Hockey.
Yeah, that's what I mean, right? Like, frig, like there's a couple times a night, like if Gallagher could hit the net, he would have scored. You know what I mean? There's a couple times a night that got, and it's every time I'm like cheering at my screen. It's just like, I hope you guys never hit the net again. You know, like I don't give a like. And there's a to end it because I gotta go. I'm like using I actually just flew home to Newfoundland last night, and I'm isolating at my partner's cabin, and like I'm using data, and we just use data to watch the hockey game, and like it's.
Can we get a Newfie accent?
Yeah, I'm from Newfoundland. Yeah, so I've been living in Montreal the last 2 years, going to school there. So like I'm from enemy. I'm living in enemy territory. I'm back in home territory. So, but the other thing I'm going to add is that Simmons really got in their heads tonight.
Yeah,
really got in there. Oh, Montreal they thought they could play the that game. It's going to be turned right back on them.
Yeah, he did. I'm pretty sure like all he had to do was the Denzel laugh for like 3 seconds. It's like and Montreal was shook. Realistically, that game was as good as we can ask for. I would love for this to go the same way for the next 3 games. I do not want this to go to a game 6. I do not want Montreal to have fans in the stands. Because realistically speaking, that does make a difference. So let's be honest. Like we've seen the difference it makes with the American games. Like it does make a difference, right? Like the fans in the stands, especially after you haven't had it for so long, even 2,500 can make a massive difference. Realistically, you just need 3 Tamil people in the stands, and we will fuck shit up. So like. It's going to get crazy. So I'm just saying the Leafs got to finish this in 5 because I really don't want it to go to Montreal because Montreal with 2,500 fans, I mean, 2,000 fans might be Torontonians, but I mean, those French Canadians know how to riot, man.
Yeah, they do.
They know how to party. I went to a game there last year and it was my first game ever. Montreal versus Toronto. It was the game where Kovalchuk scored in overtime, and it's a beautiful arena. Like the fans can really like, and I fear because I listened to the Leafs Hour podcast the other day, and it was the one thing that they really think that the Leafs had going for them was no fans in the stands. There's no pressure. You know what I mean? Yeah. The only pressure is the pressure you put on yourself, and yeah. But okay, fellas, I got a jet. But it's been great talking. But when I get some Wi-Fi, we should do this again.
All right, no problem, guys.
Cheers.
All right, I'm just before we wrap this up, like we got like about 4 minutes before I wrap this up. Jihad, I'm gonna give you 2 minutes. What do you think we need to do again for game 3 to get this kind of result?
Play Nylander more. I think honestly, I don't know why Keefe only limits his ice time. I actually haven't checked his ice time for tonight. But I don't think he was that high through 2 periods. So I can't imagine he finished the third with more than 16 or 17. I mean, I think he drives any line he's on. He creates opportunities.
He played 16-40 today.
Yeah. I mean, like that's too little for a guy like him. He's better than that. He's played better than that. I mean, he's a real difference maker for them. I as much as we talk about Matthews and Marner in that first line, he's kind of their game breaker right now in that second line where he's going to take the somewhat weaker matchups and create more for them on that second line, especially with Tavares out. There's no, like, it's him, and he's stepped up to this point, I think. Like, get him some shifts with Matthews, get him some shifts with Marner.
Ironically, though, after the Matthews, Marner, Hyman line, so Matthews got 22-37, Marner got 22-50, Hyman got 22-06. the next highest was actually Nylander in terms of forwards.
Yeah,
which is crazy.
I mean,
Which is crazy, like that he only got 1640, but they clearly went top heavy this year.
yeah, but I mean, they weren't. I don't know. I haven't been impressed with Marner's game so far. I know he had 2
I
points,
haven't
but
either. The
he's
thing is,
that kind of guy who can like you play like ass, and then you look up and he's got 2 or 3 points on the board.
I've been
and you're
saying
just
this for like a few years now. Like he has the tendency to like, and that, like sometimes I come off, and I actually sometimes I come off as a Freddie hater, and I very often come off as a Marner hater. I actually really like Marner. The only thing with Marner for me is like that whole contract situation did sour me, but like the dude will play like 2 minutes of good hockey and come out with 7 points.
Yeah. Hey, all I'd say is Owen being the hater. I am a Riley hater, and it is well known, I think, and I own the shit out of it.
Yeah.
What actually thing I wanted to say to wrap my side of things up, I didn't like the way Hall played at all. I think he's been their worst defender through 2 games. That Muzzin Hall pairing in that first period was a train wreck.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what the answer is there. Maybe it's elevating Bogosian to play with Muzzin, though I wouldn't
No,
love
I don't
seeing
think
him play more.
that's the match though.
No, I don't either. So I don't know what you do there, but I don't think Hall has been an answer for them right now. I haven't been impressed with his game through 2. I know he had that assist on that
I
Matthews
just
goal.
don't know if there's much to shuffle there. Like I know like it doesn't look right, but I don't know what else there is to do.
I mean, there is one defender sitting in the
He
press
wants
box.
Dermot
That's-
in.
I know I'm not going down that. We got a minute 50 left.
All I'm saying
I'm
is
not
a
extending
guy
it.
who worked with
I
the
know it's not
Marlins.
this time of day. All right, Arthur, you got 30 seconds to say whatever you want to say. Go ahead.
So that's all. Good night.
All right, Masi, you got a minute like 30 because he gave away a lot of minutes.
Fuck Ben Sherratt. I hope Simmons absolutely caves him in next game. He's been nonstop, dirty hit after dirty hit after dirty hit on not even Simmons or Thornton. It's always after Matthews or Nylander or someone that's vulnerable to
Or
it.
Sandin.
Or Sandin, exactly. Like he
That
needs to be
shit
taught a
was
lesson.
not
And
fucking
Simmons,
cool.
like he did in the regular season, needs to lay him the fuck out so he stops doing what he's fucking doing. Because what he did to Tavares was also dirty.
Have you seen
Other
the
than
slow
that,
motion
Matthews-
video of Simmons throwing a punch? There's a slow motion video going around. It's great.
Right. That was at Edmonton, but yeah. Did you see how that went? It was Simmons went after Edmonton. Edmonton comes. Sherratt holds Simmons. When it's a 1v1, like Sherratt stands back, then Edmonton comes in, and then Sherratt decides to jump in as well because he knows he
All
has
right,
back.
guys. It was fucking great having this conversation. We're gonna do
Did
this
you guys see
again.
Nylander's quote?
You know, fuck Jihad and talking about whatever he wants to talk about Jihad and Dermot and all that shit.
I just said Nylander.
All right. I know you love Dermot. Like, shut up. All right? I'm glad everyone was able to get onto this. This is Leafs reaction. Like, I'm about to lose this feed. I'm going to go back to drinking. This was a very great day. Thank you guys. And we're going to do this again for back-to-back games, game 3 and 4. Let's finish this off. Peace out. Thank you guys for joining.